if you think about it this way, if we build experiences that are genuinely fun and meaningful and surprising and delightful, they will naturally generate engagement and brand affinity, right? And keep people coming back to them. And that's good marketing, right? That's great marketing value, but it's also good product.
Welcome back to Brands in Play, your weekly podcast for everything immersive marketing. I'm Nick Hill, co-founder and chief innovation officer at Sawhorse.
And I'm Albane, Prioux, strategic marketing consultant. This week on the news, we have Unity teaming up with Epic Games. Amazon pushes e-commerce functionality on Roblox. Bloomberg uncovers the real challenges behind Roblox ad model. And Tropicana discover the perfect moment to connect with gamers.
And on our real-time review this week, Albane and I are jumping into Mattel's new Monster High experiences on Fortnite and Roblox. We're bringing on the game designers from Look North World and Sawhorse to talk shop, how they built these worlds, why certain decisions were made, and what it takes to bring a branded game to life inside of immersive platforms.
And after that, we'll have the pleasure to sit down with Ron Friedman, Vice President of Mattel Future Lab, to discuss how Mattel is integrating its IP across multiple virtual UGC platforms and how the brand plans to stay future-proof in the digital age.
And if you're feeling the show, make sure to like, subscribe, and follow us. So let's get into it.
Let's go.
Albane, what's up? It's Thanksgiving week.
I forgot. I'm really sorry. I forgot that this is Thanksgiving in the US. How are you celebrating? I never do it. I love that you have this initial moment in winter. I find it amazing. But how are
There's
you
nothing
celebrating?
happening in the UK, right? Like there's no
There's
Thanksgiving.
nothing. We
There's
don't
nothing.
have, obviously that's not something that happened in history, so we don't have that time to celebrate.
Yeah.
But I would how are you celebrating? Are you having friends over? Are you doing
Yeah, it's just a
whole
family thing.
things?
We host, so all my family and my wife's family will they all come to our house and we
Okay.
serve the food and stuff. So it's gonna be
Are
fun.
you doing like a proper I'm just envisioning
Turkey?
like proper big turkey.
You gotta have turkey,
Okay.
and then you gotta have mashed potatoes,
Okay.
and it goes on
Cranberry
from
sauce? You do that?
cranberry sauce,
Yeah.
gravy, all the good stuff, and plenty of amazing wine, which is my favorite, I think.
But
But
that also means you have the kids that are at home, isn't it?
yes, yeah. So it's like all the kids and the animals as well.
Yeah.
So it's just like a massive noise in the house, which will be
It's
which
full
will be
on
good,
in the Hill household.
no doubt. And also this week, there's a couple of updates that I thought were pretty interesting. One of my favorite podcasts I listen to, Hard Fork, which is from the New York Times. It's a tech podcast. They interviewed the CEO of Roblox about
Ooh,
child safety. Did you see this?
I didn't know. Okay, great.
It's really good. I'd recommend it. So it really just talking about Roblox's point of view
Okay.
on safety and moderation and keeping the platform, brand safe and a safe place for kids. But there was definitely some contentious moments that popped up in that interview. So
Okay.
it's interesting.
Well, we'll talk
And
about this later in the news, so that will be quite interesting. I'll check it out.
yeah, it's a good one. So take a look. And then also we were honored with an award
Yes.
last week for the Walmart project that we did for No Boundaries on Zepeto, which won a bronze drum award, which is pretty exciting. And got to give a shout out to our friends at Geek who were collaborators on that project as well. So, also props to Justin Breton at Walmart. It's an awesome achievement.
Yeah, it's such a great project, and I love seeing. The Drum is a UK publication, so it was great to see them starting. I felt like they were a little bit slow initially to pick up some of those more digital and gaming campaigns. So it's quite exciting to see them finally recognizing some really cool project. And I love the fact that Walmart and the project that you've done on Zepeto was recognized. Also a
Yeah.
new platform, because I feel a lot of it has been on Roblox or Fortnite. So I think I'm excited to see a platform like Zepeto being also recognized. That's really cool.
Zepeto deserves its props.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
we've talked about it on the show. We've had guests on the show, so we're definitely fans. But a lot to cover this week,
Le-
so let's go to the news.
Absolutely. Let's go to the news. So my first story, and I would love, honestly, Nick, for your input on this, because this is a big one to discuss. But we have Unity and Fortnite announcing their partnership. So this was coming, it came a bit as a surprise. So it was announced at the Unity conference Unite that happened in Barcelona on the 19th and 20th of November. So Tim Sweeney kind of arrived as this unexpected guest. I think a lot of people were a bit shocked to see him on stage at a Unity conference. From the get-go, I felt like it was like a very funny, like exciting announcement. So Tim Sweeney arrived on stage. He started with, "I'm the CEO of Epic Game. We also have another engine. It begins with a U." And just on, like, you could see the logo of Unreal Engine under his zipped hoodie. So I just thought it was hilarious already. And it kind of put, like, it already brought immediately the elephant in the room where we have two competitors kind of coming together, like two engines that are obviously fighting for different types of markets, but coming together to announce a really exciting partnership. Did you watch by any chance the announcement video?
I didn't see it, but I read a couple articles. I
Okay.
mean, give me more information because it sounds like a big concept, and it's so big, I don't even really understand granularly how that's going to affect UEFN and Fortnite. So tell me more.
Okay, so the partnership what entails first and foremost, it would be Unity that is bringing to Unreal Engine developer the in-app purchase SDK. So Unity is quite known as mobile game developer engine, and they also have, I think Walmart is also like parts or has leveraged that, but they have an amazing SDK that essentially makes it a lot easier for developer to manage in-app purchases, etc. So that is now coming and is made available to Unreal Engine developers. So it makes it essentially a lot easier for them to manage cross-platform commerce for them. But the one thing that is, I would say, arguably the most exciting is the integration for Unity developer onto Fortnite. So what that means is that now Unity developer can publish their game onto the Fortnite ecosystem. As we know now, you have battle royale, but a lot of developers can create their own game and develop it and publish it onto Fortnite.
When you say Fortnite, we're talking about the UEFN side,
Correct. I mean, I feel like now when I feel like, maybe it's a debate to have, but Fortnite is the name of the platform. Battle Royale is the name of the game that is known within that platform. But
right?
there are many other games within that. If you go on Fortnite, there's not a separate platform that is called UEFN. It's all under the Fortnite umbrella. You have Battle
Right.
Royale, which is obviously owned and played by a lot of users and created by Epic Game. But then within Fortnite, you have many other games, which is what we call UEFN. But I think to make it a lot easier for people to understand, all of that is within the Fortnite Now ecosystem. And what that means is that Unity developer that I think in at the time used to publish their game more on like the Apple Store or like more mobile focused marketplace, they can now have access to Fortnite's ecosystem, which is really exciting.
Super exciting. But like, let's say I'm a Unity developer and I have a mobile game that's a puzzle game
Yeah,
with no avatars.
yeah.
Can I sort of just port that over into
Technically, yes. I
UEFN?
mean, they haven't put any limitation, and I think this is all new, but that is my hope, right? Is that I think you and I have talked about the fact that Fortnite at the moment is really limited when it comes to its audience. It hasn't, even though they have made it a bit easier to have different types of game being published on Fortnite, it is still very focused on a battle royale or like the games that are really popular are very adjacent to the battle royale one. So we've been waiting to see how this platform could become a bit more like diverse, and I think they've tried to do that by having strategic partnership with Disney and Lego, but it hasn't really hit the mark, I would say. What I'm really excited with Unity here is that you might have now very popular puzzle game, as you say, maybe 2D games that are going to be adjacent to the battle royales, and I think it might bring a lot more like variety and maybe different types of users onto the platform. And I think for the first time, I think it's something that we discussed as well together, where for the first time, I feel like there's a clear direction on how Fortnite is going to become more mobile focused. Because even if they've won the battle with Google and Apple, meaning that Fortnite is now back on the smartphones and on mobile, there wasn't really like a strategy on how they were gonna, launch Fortnite again and make it more mobile focused. It's still like a very PC console game. and an audience. And I think that was the first thing that, like, the first direction that to me felt okay. I now understand what is the strategy for them to conquer the mobile market. And also the strategy to essentially conquer a new type of audience by bringing new types of game on their platform. So that was really exciting.
Yeah, the one thing that comes to mind, my last thought on this is just the how it's lowering the barrier to entry. Because think about it, like if you're a dev that has a experience in Unreal Engine or experience in Unity, it's easy for you to develop in that language and publish
That's
on
right.
Fortnite versus like something like Roblox, who the language there is Lua, and a lot of it's not a super mainstream language. So you have, if you want to develop there, you have to learn that. And
That's
so
right.
it's a barrier to entry for a lot of devs. So
Yeah.
this is smart, and I feel like you're gonna see more growth because of it.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about this even more. I think this is just scratching the surface of what this partnership is going to entail. So I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the future when that comes to fruition. But this is a really exciting thing, and I think for brands, definitely keeping an eye on Epic is going to be super like vital for next year.
It's a good call.
What's your next story?
So next up, I've got a story about how Amazon is evolving e-commerce on Roblox. And obviously, we know that e-commerce has been a thing on Roblox for a while. Walmart was the first brand to pioneer it, but since then, Shopify has rolled out at scale. But here we have Amazon bringing a sort of a shoppable holiday experience inside of Roblox, and it's leveraging the Amazon Anywhere tech to do it. It was built by the gang, and players there can buy real world products without leaving the game. This is not new. The products themselves, there's 40 of them, physical products. If you buy them, you get a digital reward as well. They're basically all holiday toys themed around like Christmas and holiday shopping.
Okay.
But there is one innovative thing to this is that you can actually spend Robux, which is the platform's currency, to buy gift cards, both physical gift cards and virtual gift cards. So I think this is really exciting because this removes friction. You know, that's the one thing. If you're playing a game and you have a sort of ecosystem, you don't want to then have to click out, get your credit card, type in all this information, right? Like you can literally just be spending the currency just by hitting buttons and closing the loop with your purchase. And so why this matters is, you know, obviously Amazon is accessing a younger audience, Gen Z. It's hard to reach, and it's a you know conceptual marketing funnel shift from awareness to direct commerce and conversion. And yeah, it's innovative in the sense that this is I think about this as like the future of the holiday shopping catalog because that shopping catalog is mailed to all these houses, right? It's a physical book that you get. Do you get these in the UK?
Yeah, of course. I
Yeah,
mean,
so it's like
even with childhood, that's before e-commerce. That's how, you used to like circle the little toys that you wanted as a kid. So,
exactly, and then you show your parents, you're like, "I want this one," and essentially, like, that's still happening, like, we got one, the other day, in the house, but this, to me, feels like this is the immersive, three-dimensional, futuristic version of that. So,
Mhm.
young kids are gonna be instead of, like, looking at the paper and circling the thing, they're gonna be inside of platforms like Roblox, experiencing and playing and going deeper, and then probably sending notifications to their parents' devices, you know, so I think we're gonna see a lot more of that.
That would be interesting. Exactly. If they have like their parents as friend, they could be like send the product as like wish list.
There's gonna be more of that coming. But, yeah, I mean, I think this is you know, it's not, like, revolutionary, but it is a step in the evolution of commerce, so I thought it was worth talking about. I guess my big question is, like, how is Amazon gonna, measure success for this campaign? Is it gonna be on engagement and time spent, or is it gonna be on actual sales and conversion? And, you know, we've kinda you know, commerce itself has been slow adoption in general in these platforms, so what are your thoughts?
I mean, I think here they can only look at engagement, and it's more, I guess, a bet in the future, as you said, on how they think like younger adults are going to discover products. When you are Amazon or even when you are Walmart, they have mastered the art of e-commerce. Their platform is probably the best type of e-commerce that you can get. So I don't think they can expect the same type of success because this is a completely new way of shopping. So I wouldn't like, at least if I was the brand or if I was I would advise them. I would say sales is not, they're not, it's not going to be the volume or the success rates that they have on e-com because this is a completely untested landscape. But I think it's more about what you mentioned, which is bulletproofing the future of how people might discover product as opposed to purchasing them.
Yeah, it's just changing user behavior,
Yeah.
and the users themselves are changing. So it's still like in the innovation space, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree.
But what do you got next?
So I have next a story that was written by Cecilia. I'm gonna butcher her name, but Cecilia D'Agnastasio. I'm so sorry if I am butchering her name. But she is the video game reporter of Bloomberg. She wrote an article called Roblox Bid for Ads, Riches Collide with Wary Sponsors and Developers. So it's a whole article around, I guess, the challenges that Roblox had around the launch of their ad. And they spoke to a few developers, which is why this article is quite interesting. So we are actually uncovering data that we didn't have before. But they're essentially talking about the fact that there's some challenges that Roblox is facing, pushing at the moment their advertising business. One side that they're talking about in the article, and she mentioned, is more wary sponsors, where a lot of brands, and that's why the interview, um, like the podcast that you were mentioning earlier, might be really interesting for people to listen to. Because in this article, she mentioned that a lot of brands are still hesitant to commit large budget because of the brand safety, and I guess how young some of the people on the platforms are.
Hmm.
And therefore, brands are still wary of how their content is going to be consumed, whether it's going to be distributed to your younger audience. So I think that would be quite interesting to listen to that episode to understand how Roblox is thinking and still investing so much in that aspect. In the article, she mentioned that some of the top games on Roblox generate 2.8 millions in revenue just in the last month. So, there is, I guess, a bit of an imbalance between how much, like, having ads within your experience for some developers is just not enough. And some of them prefer to focus on microtransaction because this is still a bigger opportunity for them. And the last thing that she mentioned is obviously the investor scrutiny, where
Hmm.
obviously there is tension between, growth, safety, content creation, and that is going to be key metric that investors are going to look at. And as we know from the last quarterly reports, the company is still not profitable. So I think they need to show that they are able to scale with this new ad model, but there's still shift that needs to happen for microtransactions to become the secondary stream of revenue and for ads to become the primary. There's still a lot that needs to happen on that side.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with all of that, and I think if I was to just talk about the ad tech product on Roblox, I would just say that it's like primitive, it's a little young, and it's kind of behind a lot of the other products out there. I think the biggest problem is like there isn't a lot of strong targeting, and there's almost no attribution, which are two like huge problems for advertisers. And then a lack of data and reporting around, how that ad was perceived and, how you can benchmark that to advertising on other major platforms. Look at the example of like Meta. They do such a great job with advertising. It's like
Of
ads
course.
or
I mean,
brands have no problem dumping their ad dollars there because they know that it works. They get fantastic reporting. They can target the people they want. It's all the things that they need. I think that Roblox is obviously aware of this, and I think they're improving the product to a point where it's going to start to do that. But I think they
that's
need to do that if they're going to be successful. And then going back to the developers, yeah, I mean, it's like there's not enough supply coming in on the inventory side of ads.
that's
So
right.
they're just not really making that much money off of them. So it's a problem that Roblox needs to solve if they want to be successful in like in the media game essentially on the
Yeah.
platform. My last story is a simple one. It's not mind blowing, but it's interesting. It's a little story about how Tropicana found the best moment to reach gamers. And what they did is they have a product called the Naked Smoothie, and they
Okay.
wanted to reach Gen Z gamers during natural breaks, or like a snack moment while they're playing games, because they didn't want to be intrusive of the gaming experience. And so they worked with Buff and Overwolf. And so are you familiar with Buff?
No, actually, I don't think I've heard of them.
Basically, it's a loyalty app with in-game overlays that
Oh,
is
cool. Okay.
powered by Overwolf, and they're running Fortnite, Valorant, and Apex, amongst some others. And it's basically a play to earn system, but it's got the overlays in which you can choose to put moment based ads. So it's not like you can just run ads 24/7. You can control when and where and why those
Gotcha.
ads are coming up. And so what they did, which I thought was really smart, is Overwolf analyzed 113 million gamers and discovered a pattern that around 78 minutes into their play session, players started to take this natural pause or a break, right?
Nature calls.
Yeah, it's one of those, maybe they're thirsty, maybe go to the bathroom, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, or their brain is like, I've been like focused up too much. I need to just chill for a second. So at the, Tropicana was aware of that. They wanted to capitalize on it. It's perfect for their goals. And the results were awesome. I guess they had over 1 million players engaged, 48,000 hours of gameplay. Brand lift study showed that it had increased brand favorability, recall, purchase intent. And yeah, I mean, I think why this matters, it's a campaign that respects the audience. It's offering additive value to the experience. You getting something because of the ad. Um, and yeah, it's behavior-based media, not just banners. It's actually moments.
Hmm.
And I love this because, and you'll respect this, coming from the background of geek, but it's the power of data. It's like data tells you so much stuff. And what I love about it is like with data, you can study it, you can find an insight, and you can build a campaign around it. And I think they did this really well. But what are your thoughts?
No, I like that. I didn't see the use case, but I think you're right. It's the usage of insights and data to be able to highlight like I guess this is part of like gaming culture. We speak about like meme culture, different cultures within different games, but as you said, there are like also behavioral culture and how people are, how their sessions are being structured. So I quite like that. I think that's really interesting that they've capitalized on that and it makes sense. So well done to them. Fair play.
Yep, well done. So now let's jump into our real-time review. We're going to be reviewing the Monster High games on Roblox and Fortnite. Sawhorse made the Roblox one. And for context, if you don't know, Monster High is a fashion doll and multimedia franchise created by Mattel, and it was originally launched back in 2010.
That's right. And they have different characters that are teenage children of famous monster. So you have Draculaura, who is the daughter of Dracula. You have Frankenstein, child of Frankenstein monster, who are all attending this Monster High high school.
That's right. And the brand promotes themes of embracing differences, celebrating uniqueness, and anti-bullying, which are all great things.
Yeah. And this week we're doing something a little bit different, but we'll be talking to the game designer behind the build.
Let's go. All right, so we're going to start by talking about the Monster High Paranormal Peril game on Fortnite. So this game was created by the game studio Look North World, and today we're super stoked to have Steve Abeyta, who is the designer and product owner of the game, on the show. Steve, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, awesome. Well, we appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. So this episode, we're all really diving deep into design, and game design is so important in these experiences because when you activate in these spaces, it's so broad. You can make all kinds of different designs, different games, different experiences. So my first question for you is, Mattel comes to you and they want to activate their IP Monster High on Fortnite. There's so many things that you could have done. Why did you design this type of game? What thinking went into that?
The first thing we always do is we want to get a really thorough understanding of the brand that we're trying to build around. So we went in and just watched a bunch of Monster High. Luckily, we had some people that work for Look North World that were already Monster High, like super fans.
Nice.
Yeah, that's always very helpful when you have that. So we looked into it, and Monster High, as you probably know, it has some really deep and rich fiction. It's been around for a while. Fans really relate to the characters and the messages of Monster High. So it has some strong pillars that resonate with fans, like diversity and inclusion and having a safe space to be yourself. So we knew we wanted to create a game that would reinforce all of those ideals. The other part of it is monsters, right? Monsters in Monster High. So when we looked at the ghost investigation genre, it just seemed like a natural fit because it does have that, kind of creepy element. It works with Halloween and monster genre and all of that.
Yep.
But when you're doing those investigations, there's that sense of collaboration that you're all in this together, right? And you can
Because
really
this is a co-op, like 4-person based co-op, right?
That's right. It's 4 people going in there, and the greater your teamwork, the more success you're gonna have. And so it seemed like a really great container space for us to, be able to express what's great about Monster High.
Yeah, and so can you talk just a little bit more about that genre? Like, is that a popular genre on Fortnite? Is that a popular genre across all UGC gaming platforms, or is this more specific to Fortnite?
It's a popular genre across all platforms. I won't say it's super popular. It's a niche, genre that has really, really dedicated fans. It is something that is, it's very engaging. You can spend a lot of time in these games, but it's very, very complicated, very hard to learn. And a lot of times there's not a lot of onboarding in teaching how these tools work and what an investigation is. So, a quick overview if someone is not familiar with it, you go in with friends into some creepy area and there's a ghost in there and you're trying to identify what the ghost is. And so you use these tools and you place them and kind of try not to get caught by the ghost as these detection tools are going off and giving you clues as to what the ghost is.
Nice. Well, how do you think it's been received by the community so far? Like, how has the game performed in your opinion?
We're very happy with how it's been received by the community. If we look on Reddit or other social media, when it first came out, there was a lot of excitement, especially about the skins. We have these NPC characters that are in there. We
They
spent
look
a
so good, those NPCs. I gotta say, I was just playing earlier and I was like, these things look awesome.
Oh, thanks for saying that. Yeah, we're very happy with how they came out. We spent a lot of time trying to get them right. As I said earlier, fans are they have the strong connection with these characters, and so we have to represent them truly and authentically. And so once they were in there as NPCs, the Reddit board just kind of blew up saying like, "Are these skins coming to Fortnite? If not, when are they coming to Fortnite?" So um, I think that, and then people are very happy with just the spaces, the environments we've created because it feels like you're in Monster High. And I think
Hmm.
that's very important that, like I said, if people are associating Monster High with a safe space to be yourself, if they feel like they're in this universe, they can actually go in there and be themselves.
Nice job translating that IP authentically to the community. I think it's awesome. So, last question for you, and it's more of a broad one. What advice would you give to brands that maybe have not activated inside of the gaming space or UGC gaming space? What watchouts should they have, and how should they be thinking about like game design when it comes to their first launch?
I'll use Mattel as an example of a very good partner. Mattel cares about their brands as most brand owners do, and so they were be involved in this development from start to finish. They would be part of our build reviews and get in there and play it. And getting feedback on how we're representing the brand, like every brand partner has to do that. That's bare minimum. But if you can go a step further and kind of understand what the player's feeling in certain areas of the game or certain game features you're putting in, and make sure that that feeling is aligned with what your brand is made up of, that just it allows the developers to really hit the mark. Basically, if you're trying to build something that is going to resonate with your fans.
Yeah, well said. Sound advice from a talented game designer. Steve, thank you so much for joining us. Amazing work on this game. Yeah, thank you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
So now we're going to jump over to Albane's review of the Monster High game on Roblox. So let's go.
All right, so up next, we are going to deep dive into the Monster High experience on Roblox, which was built by Sawhorse. I'm really excited to welcome today game designer Patrick Petersen for a deep dive into the game design development process. Patrick, welcome to the show. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Yes, very well. I guess to jump in immediately, I would love to understand. Mattel came to you wanting to activate on Roblox with Monster High. Can you explain to me the game design that you came up with and why you designed it that way?
Yeah, of course. So we wanted to highlight an aspect of Monster High that hadn't been focused on previously. We took their guidance and created an experience that delivers on their vision while also maintaining flexibility as we expand with live ops updates. This led to our focus on the Creepanions. Players can explore Monster High with their Creepanions, following them every step of the way. Mixing simulator collection mechanics with roleplay styled care mechanics allows the player to choose which style of gameplay they want to see more in the future.
Yeah, I really liked. I think I played it yesterday. And I mean, the moment that you have pets, I'm there. So I just find it really exciting. It feels a bit like a Tamagotchi, so it always gives the user something to do and gives you an incentive to come back to the game. So I really like that. How? I mean, that was my personal opinion, but how did the community react to the game? Like, do you feel like it was a success? What has been the feedback and general response so far?
Mattel has been striving to build this experience with the community. And our main goal with the open beta is to collect as much feedback as possible from actual players. So, in that sense, I believe we've been greatly successful with this open beta period. Players are telling us exactly what they want to do and see more of in the future. What we end up doing with that feedback will ultimately determine whether or not Monster High is successful on Roblox in the long run.
Yes, that's a good thing to point out is that this is still currently in beta, and I think this is a great approach as well to essentially open up the conversation with the community when you have a better experience. This is essentially a sign for users to know that they can share feedback so that the game can be, expanded, changed, etc. So I just really love also that approach. And I guess that leads really well to my next and final question, which is you've worked on many projects with brands on multiple UGC platforms. What would be, I guess, your advice for brands that want to activate specifically on Roblox? Like especially like how should they think about game design? Because this is a very different type of content for other brands that they don't always know how to think about it the right way. So, what would be your best advice for brands that are like new to the space?
Yeah, so Mattel has honestly been an incredible partner throughout the development process because they actually lean into our experience as a studio, but also the experience of our individual developers that are native Robloxians. My biggest piece of advice to anyone looking into making a activation or a standalone game on Roblox or similar platforms is to just trust your developers. Roblox is an extremely unique platform with its own culture. I mean, we saw that with Grow a Garden, how that became almost a global
Yes.
phenomenon that was birthed on Roblox. With that, the Robloxian developers are deeply integrated into that culture. They can tell you what will work and what won't work as long as you give them the room to give you that feedback. Let them tell you what they believe is the best path forward and then discuss from there.
Mm-mm.
Most often, the reason brands fail to perform on Roblox, from what I've seen, is because they build for their brand rather than for the platform and the players that are going to ultimately be playing that game.
Yeah, I love that. That's such a great piece of advice, specifically when it comes to trend. I think we've seen trends on Roblox go as fast as what you see on TikTok. It goes very quickly, so you need to have a team that has their finger on the pulse. But thank you so much, Patrick. That's all what we have time for today. So I really appreciate your time for joining us and explain a little bit more your approach to game design and for this particular project. And now it's time to talk to Ron Friedman, VP of Mattel Future Lab.
All right, we're excited to welcome Ron Friedman, VP of Mattel Future Lab, to the show. Ron has leveraged his background in marketing and product management to lead Mattel's pioneering innovation arm. His team is redefining play through connected products, disruptive digital engagement, and immersive experiences that bring iconic brands like Hot Wheels, Barbie, and more into the future. Ron's work is at the crossroads of brand purpose, emerging tech, and consumer insights. And today we'll talk about all that and dive into the recent Monster High experiences on Roblox and Fortnite. Ron, thanks so much for joining us.
Hey Nick, hey Alban. So great to be here. I've been a long time listener of your podcast, and it's great to be here chatting with you today.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to have you. There's so much to unpack. But let's just first start talking about the Mattel Future Lab. Can you explain to the listeners like what that is exactly? And then this whole mission of creating the future of play, what does that mean and why is that important to Mattel?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you for asking it. Future Lab is a team that sits in the intersection of play and emerging technology, exploring how tools like AI, AR, connected products, and gaming platforms like Roblox and Fortnite can redefine how fans connect with our brands, right? You said it, our mission is to pioneer the future of play by imagining what the future of play may look like 5, 10 years from now and starting to build that foundation today. You see, I think some people see technology as a disruptor. People sometimes see it as a threat. We see it as an opportunity. We see it as an opportunity to make experiences better, more fun, more imaginative. But you have to be careful not to fall into the trap of technology, right? Technology can make you sometimes chase the shiny thing that then leads to something that's a little bit shallow, right? I think you always
Just
need to
because you
think about
can doesn't mean you
the
should, right?
exactly, exactly. It's never about the tech, right? I like to say it's about what the tech enables. And you need to think about the consumer experience, what they want, and then use technology as a way to solve a problem, to deliver a better experience, right? And I think this is important to Mattel because the world is changing all around us, right? I think it's changing faster than ever. We're
Mm.
seeing consumer behavior evolve right in front of our eyes every day. And with technology, right, especially with things like AI, that pace of change is just accelerating. And so, if we want to meet our consumers where they are and we want to deliver really fun, engaging experiences, we need to invest in these areas, right? I think as the leading toy company, which has been around for over 80 years now, the innovation is part of our core DNA, and we see play as relevant today as it was when we first started our journey, and we need to continue to invest in innovation so that we can continue to deliver really relevant, authentic experiences that people love to engage with.
And it segues really well with my next question because obviously you have a legacy of products and IP that have been here for years, and you've been, as you mentioned, utilizing technology to be able to modernize them. How, I guess, what is your process to decide what IP you're going to focus on and what type of technology you're going to use for them? Is it all driven by data? Like how essentially how do you decide which IP gets a lift?
Yeah. Well, it's not one single way. I think it's a combination of art and science, right? We try to blend and use a data informed, not a data dictated approach, right? Data helps us see those trends, helps us see how our fans are engaging, where they're going, how behavior is changing. But data alone doesn't tell you what to do, right? What brands to choose, how to develop a product, what is the creative way of delivering that. You have to use your own creative intuition, your own experience, your strategic thinking to then make that data meaningful and come up with something that is really relevant, right? So, for example, I think we'll talk about it maybe a little bit later today with Hot Wheels. We saw data that showed an upward trend in collector behavior. We saw adults engaging with the brand more and more every year, but the concept of how to engage with them didn't come from the data, right? That came from us empathizing with the users, understanding our fans, connecting with them deeply, understanding the brand and our core values, and then blending that together to come up with a really great concept that then is we see that is really resonating, right? So it's a blend of data, fan connection, design thinking, and how we drive those ideas, right? In terms of what platforms do we activate on, which audiences do we engage with, and what products do we build. So it's a combination of all those things, and I think that is what makes each unique experience resonant, right, and authentic in their own way.
It sounds like so much strategy and thought goes into all of this before it rolls out, which makes a lot of sense. If you had to, pinpoint one major challenge, what is the biggest challenge to translating some of these older IP into these new immersive experiences and games?
It's a great question, and I like to joke inside of Mattel that I probably have the most failures of anyone in the company. Right, my career is basically a long trail of experimental failures that just tell you how difficult this is. But I think that the biggest challenge, to be honest, is the internal alignment that needs to happen internally with other teams. When you're trying to build these products, you're working across disciplines like toy design, product development, brand management, and everyone is coming at it from a different angle than we are. And so the challenge is as much about solving those technical challenges and making sure that we're building really great products as it is about being able to tell a very articulate, compelling story that you can help bring everyone along that journey. And in that same line, it's also about the speed of change, or maybe the pacing of how we work and how the rest of the company works. Mattel is, I think, an incredibly well-oiled machine. We are all like really focused on doing one thing better than anyone in the world, which is making toys. And there's a rhythm to that, right? The company like has a heartbeat that goes every year, and there's very clear rhythms and timelines for when product development gets made, when we launch it, how do we market it, and here we come with crazy timelines, sometimes much longer, sometimes much shorter, at off-cycle processes, trying to build new products that just don't align with that rhythm. And so, how do we engage with the brands in a way that doesn't disrupt and doesn't create friction with those processes, so that they can embrace that innovation and actually come along with a journey with us? So that storytelling capacity, that collaboration capability, is just as critical, if not even more critical than technical know-how and expertise, I would say.
And I guess how do you view, because as you said, like timelines can be very different, so how do you view this kind of work? Is it more like product development that you're doing? Is it more licensing? Are you seeing that as marketing? Or is it now, I guess, all blended in together? Like how does it fit, I guess, with the different teams that you have?
Yeah. I mean, I would say that you could argue that it's a combination of all of them in some way, right? Lines are definitely getting blurred and more blurred over time. And I've listened to your podcast, as I said, many times, and you bring a lot of different perspectives to things. But for us, if I had to choose one, is product development. We really don't see our projects as campaigns or marketing activations. We see them as full-fledged products that have marketing value built into them.
Mm.
We ultimately are a product team, right? We're organized as a product team. We see every project that we work on as a full-fledged product with a full strategy, live ops, and like full feature sets that I think lead to longer term value, right? More engagement, more well thought through experiences that we think resonate better with our consumers, that keep bringing them back, right? I think if you think about it this way, if we build experiences that are genuinely fun and meaningful and surprising and delightful, they will naturally generate engagement and brand affinity, right? And keep people coming back to them. And that's good marketing, right? Like, that's great marketing value, but it's also good product. And I think that is the approach that we take in our projects and how we look at things. So while the lines are blurred, and for sure there's marketing in what we do, and we know they're actually that these experiences are driving POS sales and traditional marketing KPIs. Our goal is to create really amazing experiences that people actually want to play and spend time on.
And you guys have done that. There's a track record of success on all other platforms and different sort of games and digital games. So it's exciting to see that develop. But I want to shift the gears a little bit and talk about Hot Wheels. Obviously, like I grew up with Hot Wheels; they've been around forever, and now you're helping take them into the digital realm. You touched on it a little bit brief at the top of the call here, but can you talk a little bit about the Hot Wheels Showcase product? And sort of how do you design, or how do you define success around a product like that once it comes to market?
Yeah, I'm honestly so thrilled about this product, and it's still in its infancy. We just launched it barely 2 months ago, not even 2 months ago, and it's performing really well. And Hot Wheels also has a really special place in my heart, not only because I grew up playing with Hot Wheels cars when I was little, but I spent 7 years of my career at Mattel working on that brand, and so it's a brand that I know very well, an audience that I know particularly well, and that I feel very passionate about. And I know that we have interviewed the designers of our digital gaming experiences as well, and passion and authentic love of the brands really shine through when products are built. Hot Wheels Showcase started, I think, the way that we want all of our products to start. It started with a real, clear consumer insight. We knew that collectors needed a better way to track and display their massive Hot Wheels car collections through research and some direct fan engagement, right? Going to our collectors and talking with them directly and creating sort of like real first party empathy. We realized that they were looking at unofficial data sources to find information about Hot Wheels cars because we didn't really have an official data source, and they were using really outdated like tools like Excel to track their collections, right? And they were building Excels and sharing them online, like really cumbersome, really difficult to do. And so we saw an opportunity to create a true digital collector hub that would allow us to really unite all of our touch points into one single place. And our hope was not only that we would give them better tools to track their collections, but that we could create a flywheel, right, of engagement that will bring more people into the ecosystem, right? So basically, trying to get automotive enthusiasts to become brand fans and brand fans to become collectors, right? And really create more of a virtuous cycle.
Congrats. I like this is unbelievable, the response of the community. I think it goes to show that you've listened, the fact that they were going through the trouble of having their own Excel, document and going through manually, the fact that you've listened to that and created a product that, answered their need, but also like fed into that fandom. I think that's unbelievable and great success on that. The other case studies that I would love for us to touch upon is the Pictionary versus AI, and I would love to understand first what's Mattel's stance on AI, and if you can talk to us about this project, the Pictionary versus AI project.
Yeah, sure. Also a project that is near and dear to us. We launched it a couple of years ago, and AI is huge, right? AI is changing everything around us. It's changing how we search, how we learn,
Scary, yeah.
how we, and
Yeah,
we know
really
that
scary.
it's going to change play as well. And so we just want to embrace that challenge, right? Again, as I said, we don't see technology as a threat. We see technology as an opportunity to innovate. We don't see AI as artificial intelligence or something that will take away human creativity, right? Or display or replace play. We see it as a way to amplify imagination. Well, that's actually the acronym that we use, right? AI, amplify imagination, and
I
really
love that.
finding ways in that tool can really find new ways of play that make it more fun, more delightful, more surprising. And we take that approach very seriously, right? And very purposeful and deliberate in how we think about AI. And we're always challenging ourselves to think beyond what is obvious, right? I think there's a lot of perceptions of like, oh, AI, you put AI in a product and this is what it would do. And there's many things that you've seen in the market already come out that have used that obvious approach. We're trying to take a more deep challenge and really think about how can AI enhance play, right? Rather than defaulting to that obvious idea of how can we make it really more fun, more meaningful, while retaining that authenticity and that core play experience that made play originally, even without technology, so fun in the first place. And so Pictionary versus AI was built around that philosophy, right? It's how can we use AI to make that fun play even more hilarious, right? And using AI not as a way to, you know, remove the challenge of drawing, which is what's so fun about Pictionary, but getting you a new opponent, right? And trying to trick the AI into like, can you actually guess your drawing or not? In a really fun way, that is still social, still human first, still like, the core Pictionary, but just in a really fun and delightful way. And that's sort of like really approach that we take, which is thinking about AI as an enhancer, not as a replacement of creativity. And there's also another team at Mattel that's called the Office of AI that is always guiding responsible use of AI internally, right, for internal processes, so that we're making sure that we're using AI responsibly to make sure that our products stay innovative and fun, but stay safe and with utmost care for our consumers' privacy and security.
I mean, that's a great use of AI. I got to go play that with my kids this weekend. I'm looking
It's
forward to
super fun, really, really
it.
fun.
But let's jump over to Monster High for a minute. So, you guys just recently activated a couple of awesome Monster High games on Roblox and Fortnite, which are the biggest UGC gaming platforms in the space right now. I'm curious to know like what Mattel's approach to these platforms is. And do you feel like activating inside of these platforms is achieving the broader Mattel business goals?
Yeah, that's a great question, and obviously something that our teams have been working on together on Monster High. Our approach to these platforms, I think, is pretty straightforward. We want to meet our consumers wherever they are, right? As I said, and they are in these platforms in just massive numbers. Roblox alone has over 400 million monthly active players every month, right? Over 100 million every day, spending over 7 billion hours playing on those platforms every month. So it's just massive. You can't ignore it. And so we just want to build authentically in those platforms in ways that will resonate with those audiences that understand the culture of each of those platforms, and try to build really fun experiences for them, right? I um, think of it this way, and we talked about our philosophy of product versus marketing, right? What do you think is going to result in greater long-term brand engagement and affinity? Watching a video ad that you're maybe scrolling through some platform, maybe, after skipping to the next video in a few seconds, or playing in a really fun game that you're going to spend 30 minutes plus playing and you keep coming back over and over again. And our goal isn't just getting tons of impressions. And obviously, there's a lot of value in getting impressions and getting eyeballs on our properties. It really is about building long term emotional connection and brand rediscovery, right? Especially for these platforms that are geared to slightly older audiences than our core products are. This allows us to engage with those audiences that maybe have graduated away from core physical play, but that still love our brands and that still want to engage with us in a really meaningful way. So when we see players co-creating and role playing and sharing their own content, that is really the win. And in terms of success, I mean, it's so early, right? I think we're in our infancy still here. Um, the game that we built together just launched last week. The Fortnite game that we built with Luke North is barely a month old. And I'll have to say that the metrics so far have been very encouraging, and we think we're in an upward trajectory that we are very excited about. These are ultimately long-term plays that we know will take time to refine and mature and grow, right? These are not campaigns. These are products with big roadmaps. We have live ops plans across the both. So I would say to your listeners to just keep coming back because we'll continue to build really fun experiences and surprises for them across both of them.
The audiences are still really different. So I love the fact that you didn't do copy and paste, because I think that would have been a mistake. And I think we can really see how you've adapted the Fortnite concepts to the Roblox concept, but still with the similar IP. And I think that's the beauty in that specific project. This is our last question, so I think this is more of a broader question, Ron. But I would love to know what you think about, like, how are consumers going to engage and discover IP in the future? Do you think they're going to start, discovering through like virtual, or like are they going to be more interesting in virtual or physical product? Do you think there's still opportunity for like a non-smart physical product that doesn't have any technology adapted to it or around it? I guess it's more like final like thoughts on how things are going to evolve in the future.
Yeah, thank you. And I think it's a very thoughtful question that is obviously very appropriate for us, Mattel, and what we think about. Um, Discovery has become incredibly fragmented, right? I think marketing toys 30 years ago when I was a kid was very different, right? You had Sunday cartoons or Saturday morning cartoons, and you got everyone in that audience to watch, right? Even you think about 20 years ago, there was monoculture, right? Everyone was watching the same TV shows, and you were able to reach your consumers really easily. But with audience attention being so fragmented today, and not only being fragmented, but also becoming much more involved and participatory. Our consumers are playing and co-creating and sharing content with each other. And so I think we need to adapt to that, and we need to understand that that behavior is changing, and how we're marketing, how we're advertising, how we're building product, where we're reaching consumers needs to evolve and change. That said, that doesn't reduce the value of physical play in any way. I think far from it. I think we are true believers in physical play, right? It's core to what Mattel does and what we've been doing for 80 years. We know for a fact, right, from research that physical traditional analog toys continue to represent enormous opportunity, and they're critical to learning, development, emotional connection, right? It's how we learn, it's how we engage with others. And so that can't go away. But we need to figure out how do we adapt to show up in authentic ways in every touch point that our consumers are playing with. That means not replacing physical play. That means augmenting physical play with really smart, engaging digital platforms like Roblox and Fortnite, but building our own digital apps, building products like Pictionary versus AI, right? And a bunch of other things that we do at Future Lab so that we can expand the aperture of play, right? I think play is play, but it exists on a spectrum, right? From pure
Yes.
physical to pure digital and everything in between. And we want to figure out a way to balance that out and to just build across the entire spectrum. Mattel is a play company. We believe in the power of play, and we want to continue to invest in it.
Wow. Ron, these are such valuable insights. Definitely appreciate you coming on the show. I feel like we just took a master class in how to
I know.
translate IP. So thank you.
No, thank you both. Really, really insightful questions. Really enjoy the conversation, and hopefully your listeners like them as well. And hopefully I come back soon as well.
Yeah,
We'll
we would
also
love to have you back. I'm sure you're going to continue to innovate across all these different mediums and different platforms. And we're just excited to see what Mattel continues to, what impact they continue to make.
Thank you, Nick.
Thank you. Let's go back to the show. And we're back. I love that interview. Albane, what did you think?
It was such a pleasure to have him on the podcast again. Such an amazing brand with so many different brands and IPs behind it. So I think what for me what was the most interesting was how they are approaching, I guess, different IP like legacy IP and new IP, and it is a challenge sometimes when you have so many different brands under your group. Is how do you maintain, I guess, make people that know about the brand from before, but also make these new potential users also happy in those new platforms. So I just really love that and that approach there.
Yeah, agreed. And I think, I mean, I'm so like big into innovation and future proofing. And that's why I was so excited to have this conversation because I feel like Mattel is a leader in that space.
Absolutely.
Essentially, they're an old school toy brand, like of
Yes.
making like physical toys. And in this new sort of digital revolution where everything is going to be virtual, like how does a company like that, take the brand and make it relevant and future proof? And I feel like they're doing an awesome job. So I really appreciated that interview.
Should we go to the hit, miss, and bets?
Let's go. All right, Albane, what's your hit?
So I have 2 hits and no miss. So I kind of, messed up this week. Maybe that is the miss.
It's all
Uh,
positivity for
it was
Thanksgiving
hard
week. I'll
actually to
take it.
find a miss this week. So maybe you'll be able to like come up with one. My first hit that is the absolutely hit was the Timothée Chalamet 80 minutes Zoom for the release of Marty Supreme film. I don't know if you've seen that, but it's been filling my LinkedIn. All of the, I guess, agencies are raving about this campaign. So it looks like, I would say, a leaked Zoom call.
That sounds like a hit. I haven't seen it, but that's
It's
immersive
really funny
marketing.
because I think you and I have been in some of those calls where you have like 20 different people and they're like all presenting each other. It takes 15 minutes to do a roundup and they all have very niche, like, titles. And
And
it's
then someone has some crazy out of left field idea that won't work. And everyone's like
exactly.
respectfully going like,
So
uh-huh,
I loved it because I
okay.
think it was very reminiscent of some of the meetings that I've been into, and it was just like really funny to just take the piss out of like our own industry. But anyway, so my bet this week is going to be more on with the announcement of Unity and Epic Games partnership. And this is a big bet, and honestly I'm shooting in the dark, but I have an instinct that maybe there will be more game release on Epic Store and in Fortnite than any other distribution platform like Apple, Google Store, or Steam in the next
Ooh,
5 years. Because it's
five
going to
years.
be because
Okay.
it's going to be a lot easier, and Epic since the very beginning has always been advocate to make it a lot more financially viable for developers to make money from their creation.
That is a big bet.
Yeah, it's a
But
big
it's
bet. I put it in our show notes. I was like, big bets.
it's grounded in reality though. So
It's
like
kind of in reality,
let's
but let's see. I don't know. I could completely be wrong, but let's see.
well, next week we are going into the holiday season officially. So we're going to be doing a deep dive into shopping and commerce inside of immersive platforms. And
Nice.
so we're going to find out who's naughty and who's nice.
I'm looking forward to that one.
And if you like our show, don't forget to like and subscribe. We need that. Leave a review. We need more reviews. But we appreciate you. Thank you. Have a great Thanksgiving. And Edward, please read us out.
And that was Brands in Play, Thank you for joining the podcast where we explore immersive marketing and the people who are leading it. Co-hosted by Albane, Prioux and Nick Hill, our show today was produced by myself, Edward Regiu, with creative direction by Joey Jerder and audio engineering by Samran Kiyu.
The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in this podcast are solely those of the host and guests and do not necessarily reflect the views, policies, or positions of host employers. The information shared during this podcast is based on personal experience and publicly available information and is intended for informational purposes only. Any references to specific platforms, companies, or partnerships are made in a personal capacity and do not imply endorsement, partnership, or official association with any organization mentioned.